And we're live. Good afternoon. My name is James. And we are Third Universe is now live. Excuse me while I try to pull up some music, which I should have had ready beforehand. So my name is James, and what we're doing here today is we're going to be painting some miniatures. Or at least we're going to be trying to and learning how to paint miniatures. Specifically right now today are Warhammer 40k. I've been doing this for quite some time, about 20 years, playing this game for 20 years. Started out, was pretty terrible at painting. It is a learned skill, something that we can all learn. You, me, Sona can even learn it. I think she has done it. She's probably better than I am. And I don't know if the desktop audio is coming in, but should be. So what we have today is we have a Primaris Intercessor. Okay, he is primed gray. Mechanicus Standard Gray is the primer I use for this model. I use that for several reasons. I'm going to be doing this model today. I'm going to be doing a speed type painting for it to show how easy it can be to work on something and get quick results, good results that anyone can do and will look good on tabletop. If there are any issues on the stream, please let me know. And apparently I don't have the chat window up, and I don't know how to get it up. So if Sona could go in, if she can see this, and put the chat window in where it's supposed to be, that would be great. So a couple things you're going to need to paint miniatures. Obviously, you're going to need a miniature itself. Games Workshop sells a variety of different miniatures. They're available at Third Universe. Brian can get you anything you need, which is great. They come unbuilt, unassembled, and unpainted. And I'm looking for a sprue of guys that I had. Here we go. They come in a box. Looks something like this. It's Necromunda, which is a great game. Models for it are fantastic. This is how they come. Unbuilt. See, these are all parts of a model, like a car, model car kit. There's a torso right there, and then the rest of the model would be elsewhere on the sprue. So what you do, you buy the model, you build it, and you paint it. And then, in the end, there's actually a game for it, which is a pretty good game. Later in the streaming adventures, I will be trying to get some games in, probably small scale, with some of my quarantine cohort, and that should be good. Space Marines, this model here, Intercessor Space Marine, these are the core troops for the Space Marine chapters of the Imperium, the good guys. What we're going to be using today, we're going to be using some Prexian White dry spray, or dry paint, also from GW. Contrast Ultramarines Blue, and Layer Temple Guard Blue. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this painted as a Ultramarine Intercessor. We're just going to do the basic color scheme for it and just do the basic armor right now. In another stream, we're going to be going ahead and painting the other parts of the model, metallics for the guns, purity seals and whatnot, the base itself, which these are come with their own base, high detail. And my camera shut off. Come back, camera. There we go. Camera's back. High detail bases that come with these models. This model specifically, this is one of the push fit models that you can get in the easy to build kit. I use the Citadel paint handle, which I recommend you getting. These are actually very good. They help hold the model for a brace while you're painting if you're doing fine detail work. I do recommend using these. It seems like a gimmick when it first came out, but they work very well. I also have down here, this is a wet palette. It's not, you don't need one of these, but I do recommend a wet palette. It helps keep your paints on the palette from drying out quickly. You're going to need some sort of palette though. I also have here a tile, a piece of regular 4x4 white tile. It's also a suitable palette. Anything that doesn't absorb water is really fine. I recommend if you don't have access to a wet palette, which you can get at any craft store, or make your own using what is it called, paper towels and a sheet of either wet palette paper, or I've heard recommendations to use what's it called, parchment paper for baking. Works well, apparently. I have not tried that yet, but paper towels underneath it does work. Or a piece of tile or a plastic plate does work also. But you're going to need one. You're also going to need a water pot. Clean your brushes. Also very important. There's a bunch of other things that once you do get into painting, you're going to probably want to get. But those are the really basics you need. You need a brush, paint brushes, a model to paint, and paints. So, as the British say, let's crack on. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take Prexian white and we're going to do a dry brush on this primed gray model. So doing a dry brush, you take this type of paint is actually made for dry brushing. When you look into the pot itself, it is not a liquid. It's very clumpy and weird. It's already dried out, and that gets onto your brush, and what you do is you get some on your brush, and then you go to your piece of paper and you clean it off. Thank you, Sona, for fixing that. You clean most of it off on your piece of paper towel. Oh, I also have a paper towel, but it's out of shot. Can't see it. Sorry. Camera's only so big. So dry brushing, you get most of the paint off of your brush. There's still going to be some in your bristles. And then you just take it and you go across your model, and it will deposit paint on the raised edges of the model. Now this is very good for getting really sharp edge highlighting. One of the things we're doing this for is because I'm using the Citadel contrast paints today to do this, is the Citadel contrast paints are very different from a standard paint. They work in a different way. They work like a wash, which is another type of paint that one can use. And I'm sorry if I come out of camera frame. So we're just going to do a gentle dry brush over the whole thing. We're going to cover and get all these raised little bits. And it appears I still have a little bit of orange left in my brush from the other day. That's not going to matter. You can do this without painting the model this darker color gray, but what this is going to give you is going to give you a nice color difference when you do put the wash on, or the contrast paint on the model. This is going to give you a really bright edge highlight, and that's going to give you a really nice sharp contrast when you go ahead and put the next color on. Get a little bit more paint on here. Start from there. There we go. Clean most of it off the brush. Back onto the dry brushing. The dry brushing, let the brushing begin. It doesn't matter where you get this on this model at this point. If you make mistakes, you're going to make mistakes while painting. This is, like I said, this is something that's a very learned skill. There are people who you're going to meet. I personally have friends that I've met that are significantly more talented at this than I am. That doesn't mean you can't make something nice and be proud of what you do, which is very important. done there. And we're going to try and get up into here. So you just take your brush and just paint down the raised edges. It's going to leave all your recesses nice and gray, which is like, why are they going to be gray? They're not going to be gray. It's going to be magic. This also gives you an opportunity when you're doing dry brushing like this, that it's going to show you where all your details are. It's going to show you, you know, oh, there's a little piece of, you know, he's got a little trinket dangling here, a little trinket dangling there. The dry brush helps with that. I had a friend of mine that actually used to paint all his models. We used to paint starting in black, jet black. And what he would do is he would dry brush a nice gray over the whole model, and it would be able to pick out all the details on the model would be picked out by that light gray, and it would help him paint. He got good results out of it. All right, so that's the dry brush step, the first step that we're going to do with this model. So if you look at this now, he has a weird, get him to focus here. You can focus now. Come on, anytime. He's got like a weird white and gray look. That's exactly what we're going for with this. So what we're going to do next, the first brush. The first brush I use is just a cheap old brush. I think it was, what brand is this? I don't even know. Garbage brand that I got from Michael's or somewhere. Dollar store probably. It's a cheap junk brush that I cut the ends off, made it shorter. Dry brushing will ruin your brushes. If you look at this brush, it's pretty ruined. This is not really good for anything other than what I'm doing now. Next we're going to do is we're going to grab this contrast Ultramarines Blue. This is a nice color. Space Marines of the Ultramarine chapter are Ultramarine Blue, hence the name. And we're going to be using for this, that's not the one I wanted. Where did you go? Around here somewhere. Is that him? Nope. I'm probably just going to use that one. Just a number 3 round brush. I actually have a Games Workshop wash brush. I just don't see it. It's hiding in my collection of many, many brushes. So here comes a little bit of magic. The contrast paint you don't actually thin down. You take it straight out of the pot, and we take the model and you just apply it to the model. This paint is actually pretty cool because what it does is it stains the surfaces, all the flat surfaces, and then it goes into all the recesses and pools, which is kind of neat. And I'm painting off camera. Sorry about that, everybody. And again, in this step, you can be messy. Messy as you need to be. This is essentially just a second step that we're doing just to get color on the model right now. And you can paint this all over the entire model. Doesn't matter where it gets onto. We're going to go back in and clean up and go back in and get a lot of this detail that we want to have different colors. They're going to be different colors and totally. So we're going to go back in and paint a base color over those, like things like this little pouch he has on him, another little pouch, some cabling. I will say that Games Workshop has stepped up their game, and they have made some pretty amazing models. This isn't even one of them. This is nice, but this is not one of their amazing models. We'll paint a couple of those. Don't worry. So on this model, the whole thing's blue. This is a regular tactical intercessor. So he's not a veteran sergeant or sergeant. He's just a brother. Battle brother. How pretty. How pretty you give it. What is it called? Who said that? It was yeah, my computer monitor's all the way over there. And I should make that bigger. Make that smaller. Make that bigger. Oh, it's Sabrina. Hi, Sabrina. I think that's Sabrina. And we're just going to get this all over the model. If you can avoid things like noticeable things like this purity seal, we're going to avoid that. It just helps. So when you go back in later, that's going to be a very different color. Now this method I'm using works for pretty much any color that they make a contrast color in, which is pretty much every color under the sun at this point. They make it in all the primaries, 2 or 3 reds, 10 greens, 4 or 5 blues. It's the whole bunch. So if you don't have to limit yourself to painting ultramarines if that's not your thing. A lot of people refer to ultramarines as Smurfs because they're blue. Looking for any missed spots up in there. I hope everything's coming through okay, the audio and the video. If it's not, someone write a comment, yell at me. I'll get back to you on the next one. One of the things I have noticed with contrast is you don't want to go too heavy. I've seen it pool in holes and form like a film, like a web that is just awkward because it's still a liquid and it dries into a solid essentially. Okay. Looking around. So now we just got the rest of the backpack. And then the more fun part after we're done getting all this blue on is we're going to wait for paint to dry. So it'll give me a chance to go over and look at our comment section and comment. And missed his little elbow underneath here. And if you're doing this for yourself and you're not painting for competition, I mean actual painting competitions, which they have, getting a model on the table, a bad painted model is still a model as painted. Never forget that. It's the guy who shows up with gray plastic. You have time. You have the skills. You have the ability. All right, so that's the base coat of this model. Set them down. Go look at the chat. It has been done. I forgot to change the title on YouTube. How do I change the title on YouTube? No one tells me how to do this. Make it happen. So it looks like it's me and Sabrina, and is that a bot? I think Ground Dog might be a bot. I should have opened up and muted my Twitch. Oh, someone changed it in here. Hey, look, there we are. There we are. mute that. All right, go ahead and mute that. Which probably turns off all of my audio inputs. Oh man. I hope not. Audio is still working, it appears so. Okay. Ground dog is real. Good. Well, hello, ground dog. Oh man, I need to change my resolution. I can't read the names; they're too small. So while we're waiting for some paint to dry, you could normally move on to other things, but we're going to take this really slow today, and I'm going to be able to chat with the with our guests. Ground dog, do you know 40K at all, Warhammer, or miniatures painting in general? Can't understand me. Hold on. Is that better? Did I fix my audio? Hello? Testing? Hello? Oh, okay. All right, now it's working. Thank you. I don't know who Jesse is. I might have met Jesse. I've been away from Brian's store, Third Universe, for a while. Moved to Connecticut, unfortunately, but it's a good place. So you can use these painting techniques. You don't have to use them on Warhammer models, obviously. There are other models that you can do. Build and paint. Like I have a Kickstarter that I got these amazing animal companions. This is a bear in a spacesuit with the bear cub, which we're going to be painting up on this stream on a later date. He has to get primed. I'm thinking he's going to be a cosmonaut, Russian, red, but he's pretty fantastic. D&D miniature, science fiction D&D miniature. What else do I have around here that I painted that's not... Here's a model I worked on for a couple weeks. This is the special edition Dwarf Bugman from the... I think it was a Games Workshop's year store release. He's cool. I like this model. a lot. And he's relatively big too. He's a dwarf, but he's on par with the Space Marine. he's pretty big. I like that model. D&D figs can all be painted using this. The Reaper miniatures. Really anything that you can prime, you can paint with these type of paints that I use. Types of paint that I do use are the Citadel miniature paints, and the other brand that I use is Vallejo. Vallejo makes some really good paints. My wife got me a Vallejo painting set for Christmas last year, and it's pretty awesome. So as you look at this model now, the paint's starting to dry really well. And if you notice, everywhere that we dry brushed has a really nice, let me see if I can get a better focus on this. The light's a little weird. Has a nice highlight on it already. Well, it looks like a highlight. There's like an edging. When this dries completely, you'll see that'll become much more pronounced. and all the recesses of the models will have a nice shading in them. It's just the way the paint works. This stuff's really cool. It's kind of a game breaker. The way that we would used to do this is you'd paint the whole model one color and then you would layer up another color. I am going to do a couple models like that because I still like painting like that. I feel you do get better results, but that's more of a competition level type painting. It's not fast. It's kind of tedious. Many thin layers of paint. This is get it done. You can do it super easy. Good results. See, like if you look at the back part of his legs right now, like that looks pretty good for 15 minutes. All right, the next thing we're going to do to nearly finish off this model, pretty much finish off the armor, is we're going to go through, we're going to pick out some really high raised edges, and we're going to highlight with this color, Temple Guard Blue. So this is where you're definitely going to need a palette. So what I have, let me see if I can find number 1 brush. Cows can walk upstairs but not down. Really? I don't believe you. Not this brush. Number 0. All right, so what I have here, just a number 0 paintbrush. This is Premier brand, but you can use any number 0 or number 1, anything like that. All right, so when you're using these layer paints and any other paint that's not a contrast paint, you need to thin it down. So you take some, you put it on your palette, you add a little bit of water on your brush, and you mix it around. This is where a wet palette comes in really handy, because this keeps this the same consistency for a while. All right, so what you're looking for is, you're not looking for runny, soupy paint. You're looking for paint that rolls off your brush. Like that. Yeah, nice and rolling. Now I'll give you a nice good tip. You want a tip? Don't smoke. It'll kill you. So what you're going to do with this is you're going to go into the places that are very high areas that the light would come at and hit, and you're going to go ahead and just put a little line. Just draw a little line. All right. Everyone says, oh, I can't do that. My hands shake. One of the things that you learn is when you paint something, you want to be braced. You want both things to move at the same speed. So if you put your hand against the holding, the paint handle, it gives you a really good stable platform. So brace yourself. Just draw your little line right across the top. It gives you a nice little highlight like that. That's all we're going for. There's his knees. Then we're going to go down to his feet, and we're going to do his foot. A little line across his foot. A little line across here. This one's going to get 2 lines, one that way and one that way. And I'm not painting on camera again. Just super fun. There we go. See, those lines right there. Right, along this section here, we're going to go just halfway down. So we're trying to simulate light. A little line like that. Rotate the model around. Halfway across like that. So then you think maybe the sun's coming down and it's hitting the backpack and not getting all the way down there. And down here, nice easy line. If you just brace yourself up, you should be able to do this relatively easily. You're going to probably make mistakes. You might go and you might, just, oh, I did that. Wipe the paint off. Wet your brush back down. Use your brush to get rid of the paint that you messed up. It'll happen. No big deal. You might see somebody painting something that wins an award, And you're like, oh my God, how did he do that? And ask him how he did that, and he'll say, it took me the better part of 4 years. That happens. Painting is not hard. It's not easy, but it's not hard. Everybody can do this. So the reason why I am going and only making smaller lines and not doing the whole thing is because this model already has a bunch of already highlighted areas due to the contrast paint and the dry brush we did. So when I'm doing these small little ones, it's just to pick out and accentuate other areas. A lot of times when I'm painting, I'll have like a podcast on or music playing. I don't have that right now because I don't know the technology that well yet. All right, now this Gorget is really cool. This part's kind of neat. I like the design on this model. It's a lot better than where we came from. Where we came from is the Stone Age now, as far as miniatures go. The bridge of his nose, just a little line. Now you're gonna, when you first start out, you're definitely gonna need to learn the consistency of the paint that you're using and what works for you. I know how I want my paint to flow off my brush, so I'm very used to making it. Trial by error, it's okay. You know, you're gonna start somewhere. One of the things is Jake the dog from Adventure Time. Sucking at something is the first step to being good at something. All right. This part of this shin pad. Okay. On top of his head, they have these weird vent thingies on the tops of their heads, on their helmets. I'm not sure why, but they do. I don't know why you would put an air intake on top of your head like that. It just doesn't seem like a good design. We're just going to go ahead and get the edges of that. All right. Now, some of you might be asking, why are you not painting the edge of the shoulder pads? Because those are actually going to be a completely different color unto themselves. Fingers. All right, so not getting good flow off my brush. Clean it off in the water. Get the excess water off of it. Come back to my paint. Scratch my nose. Where was I working on? Let's go here. Some fingertips. Put little dots. Just little dots. A little bit more water in my paint. Right around here, just where all the edges are. You paint one side of the edge, leave the other side dark. It's going to give you a nice stark contrast, and it's going to give the illusion of there being more depth on the figure itself. Down here you got these cool little metal plates in here. We're going to go ahead and line that one. And of course, you know, the cod piece. You gotta have the armored cod piece. If you like the movie Labyrinth, Jim Henson, if you have not seen it, I recommend seeing it. It's pretty good. It has David Bowie in his codpiece, which is kind of hilarious. Little butt plate. All right, there we go. Up here, we're going to go ahead and do this one right here, this line right there. Yeah, messed up a little bit, but that's okay. All right, edge highlighting, or line highlighting, some people would call it. We hit up these little ear knobbies. One there and one here. And above his eyes. To give him a nice mean look. Okay, so that's really all the edge highlighting that you need to do on these models. There's a lot more that you can do. You can pick out more edge highlighting. I don't know, my lighting's a little wonky right now. Come closer. Bring this one closer too. Lights are a little wonky today. There we go. There we are. Okay. Focus a little bit better for me, please. Let me try and focus some more. All right. See all that edge highlighting? Makes a big difference. Now he looks kind of neat. And one of the final things we're going to do today on the armor to make everything look very drastically different is we're going to grab a red that I have right over here. Where are you? That's not it. That I have off camera and missing because I probably have it. Oh, I have it right here. Blood red, game color. Blood red is Vallejo. This would be Mephiston red if it was Games Workshop, which I don't have a pot of right now, so I'm not using it. Put some on our palette. We don't need a lot for this because all we're going to do right now is we're going to go in and do his shoulder pads. So in Space Marines, the shoulder pad, there's different symbols and icons on their shoulder pads that tell you where they belong, who they belong to, and their rank insignia is often on them, other things like that. So the third company, I believe, first company is white, the rim, shoulder pad rim is white. The second company is yellow, and the third company, I believe, is red. Red is really good because red is a direct contrast color, considered a complementary color on the color wheel to blue. So once you put this on here, it's going to change the whole look of the model. And all we're doing is we're going to go in. You want to be mostly careful. Try not to get it on any other part of the blue. And we're going to do this in a couple layers. So you don't want to glop the paint on. If you glop the paint on, you run the risk of going into the wrong spot or having the paint look gunky. It'll actually build up texture if it's too thick. And we throw some red on this all the way over. Save the penguin figure. Hell yeah, get me a penguin figure. I don't know how long ago that post came in, or that message. I think my wife actually wants me to paint a penguin figure. I made her a penguin out of felt for our winter holiday tree. You know, once the Christmas tree goes away, we get the winter holiday tree out, which is the same tree, it's just different ornaments. Excuse me a second. Sometimes you need a little assistance. Okay, nice red ring on that. And then we'll go to the other one. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. Just try to be careful. This is a raised edge, so it lends itself to being a little bit easier than trying to paint something flat or on the pauldron itself on the shoulder pad, which I'll do not today. So we're going to finish up this section right here, and then we're going to call it. I'll go back to the chat and see what everyone else is saying. Penguins everywhere. I do have, where did he go? The mischievous owl. This guy's great. He's an owl miniature from that same Kickstarter set. He's awesome. He's going to get painted. He's prepped and ready to go. Okay, so I got 4 there. And then as long as you keep it a little neat. If you do mess up, you can always go back in with a darker blue. I don't remember the color for Ultramarines. I think it's Calgar blue is the Ultramarines blue color that they use, or that can be used to paint Ultramarines, or this color. You get a matching color. If you messed up, you go in and you just tidy it up. If you get it on your edge highlight, you fix the edge highlight. You can go back in and fix it. And there it is. Excuse me, on this model, I think we're going to also be painting the top of Purity Seal red. And then we're going to put a nice dark wash on that. The Purity Seal has 2 parts to it. The seal itself, and then a whole bunch of wax holding it on. But in their case, I don't think it's wax. I think it's supposed to be like some sort of metal. It's metal. Get in there. There we go. Paint that. And like I said, that changes the look of the model significantly. It brings that blue and really gives you a, holy crap, that's red. All right, so the first coat on the left shoulder pad is dried. Go back in and put a second coat on, just to really richen it up. Make sure there's no blue peeking through the bottom of it, giving you any false purples. Not looking for purple. Blue and red make purple. All right, there's that. And then the other side should be dry by now. Need a little bit more water on my paint. technically a completed model. The gun can remain that gray color if you wanted to, but we're not going to leave it like that. We're going to finish this model up on our next stream. So there you go. In about, what, 20 so odd minutes, we went and started with a primed gray model, and we finished with a, oh, there's my dog, a tabletop ready model that can go into an Ultramarines army or Imperial Fists if, you know, you think the color might be a little dark. But experimenting a little bit, the gray might have been a little too dark of a gray, the Mechanicus standard that I used. Never done it this way before, but you know, you got to learn, right? You got to figure out what we're doing. All right, let's go ahead and look at the chat and see what's going on. Oh, everyone's gone, I think. All right, so I think that's going to call it a day for me. I hope you all had fun. Anyone is still in here? And I will talk to you all later. Oh, this is going to be an ongoing stream. We're looking probably Sundays and Thursdays, 4:30.